Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. One of the things about salam. Yeah, one of the things about salam is that you're always supposed to give more. Right? You're always supposed to give more than what you expected. So like, let's say if I took like, half the bag, so that's more than what I expected to take. So you should always give more as a Muslim, right? And remember back when Ali Fiaz, he included that, brother Ali Fiaz, he included that in the speech, like the person wanted to buy a camel. And so, right, he kept raising the price. And then afterwards when he was asked, like, why did you pay, say like $20 for that camel when you could have gotten it for like $2? The guy said, well, he's my brother in Islam, and I would have felt really good if somebody gave me all that extra money. So always give more. And we see that in, even when we say salam. Like that's even evident. What? Yeah, so yeah, I don't want to go out for attention, but that's something you guys got to trust this. Alright, so Brother Kaiser, I've actually known him for a little while. Right now he goes to Elmhurst College, where he is the president of the MSA. He actually taught me at Sunday school at the Islamic Foundation. He still teaches there. And he graduated from Willowbrook, so he's not a woman for me, unfortunately. It's all good. Brother Kaiser, here he is. What are these?
So today the topic I was given was Jannah. And starting this topic, I was thinking about what to do. First, we're going to start off with Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. And before we begin, just so everyone's kind of involved, I want everyone to just say Alhamdulillah. So we know that this gathering has some benefit at least. Has some benefit that we come together because the Rasulullah said that no gathering or all gatherings are useless unless it brings you somehow to remember Allah. So by starting off with Alhamdulillah, inshallah, we all started with that clean state that this is a beneficial gathering. And so on the topic of Jannah, at first I was thinking, how many of you have ever heard a lecture on like a tour through Jannah? As a show of hands. For those that haven't, just type it in on YouTube. I'm serious, just type it in on YouTube, a tour through Jannah. There's a bunch of amazing speakers already out there, and they literally walk you through a tour through Jannah. I know it seems odd that I'm starting this off with almost like homework, that do this once you're done. But I really want everyone to do that, inshallah. Today, I wanted to take a different approach. Instead of going through a tour through Jannah, what I wanted to go through was a description of those who have been promised Jannah. A description of those who earned Jannah. And in this story, it's a story I heard very, very recently, it describes a certain youth who got Jannah, right? And I wanted to go through his story. And in this story, it really requires you to visualize a lot. So keep that in mind. Let's try to keep our attentions there and visualize what's happening in this story, because it was very vividly described. So this is a story that takes place in the 10th century. And this was at a time in a city called Al-Raqqa, which is kind of where Iraq is today, but it's a city around that area. And in this time, there was an invading army that was coming in and taking over Al-Raqqa. And the invading army, all the towns around it, their crops were burned, their women raped, their children taken as slaves, and their old men slain. That's the setting, and Al-Raqqa is in the middle of all this. So this is what had happened all throughout the outskirts. And then there was one man at that time who existed, who was a scholar. He ended up taking the role of a general to protect the towns that were remaining. His name was Abu Qudama, and he was known throughout the area because he had saved many people. So one time he was just sitting in a masjid or a mosque, and he was just sitting there, and a group of youth came up to him and they said, "Oh, Abu Qudama, you have such a big reputation. Why don't you tell us a story that can entertain us and get us closer to Allah?" Right? So that's what these youth are telling Abu Qudama. Abu Qudama says, fine. He waited for all of them to gather up. He waited for all of them to be silent, just like you guys are right now. Right? And then he said, this is a story, this is an experience that I had, which I still can't explain to up till this day. And he said, this was just some time ago, when I was in Al-Raqqa, And there were rumors of an attack that was going to come. So the city was going to be attacked. And he said, I went to Al-Raqqa, I was traveling from another place. I went to Al-Raqqa and I was trying to get recruits to help defend the city. And to be like the guards on around the walls, because Al-Raqqa is a walled city, so to be the guards on the wall. And then he went and stood where he knew a lot of youth gathered, right? He went on, and then he would say things like, what is wrong with you, O believers, that you do not go and defend in the name of Allah, right? When the weak and feeble people are calling out, oh, Allah send people to save us. Because we are responsible for the weak ones, wherever and whoever they may be. So he began recruiting. He went to Al-Raqqa and he began recruiting. Very few people answered his call. Very few. And then so he started asking for provisions for anything financially that people could commit. And again, very few people responded to him. So he was the traveler. He's like, okay. He rented out a small little apartment, and he was going to spend the night there. He did that. He got in the apartment, and he prays Isha. He's about to pray his witr prayer, and there's a knock on the door. He's thinking, subhanAllah, no one knows where I am, right? I'm a traveler in this town. No one knows who I am. Not only that, but no one knows where I would stay. This doesn't make sense. How already someone's knocking on the door. It's a peaceful night. You could hear the crickets before, but somehow someone's knocking on his door. So he opens the door, and there's a woman standing in front of him. And he describes it as, I couldn't see her face because she was fully covered. And the first thing he asked is, who are you? She didn't respond. She just asked, were you the one who was calling for recruits earlier? Were you the one who was calling for some funds so that you can defend us, so that you can defend the city? He said, yes. And then she said, please hold out your hand. Please hold out your hand, right? And he did. And she put in his hand a piece of paper, or not a piece of paper, a little cloth, a little sack of sorts. She put it in his hands, and she ran away. Abu Qudama was like, I had so many questions for her, but I couldn't ask her a thing. She just ran off. So he's like, what a strange person. He opens up the sack. He opens up the cloth that she gave him, and he sees a lock of hair and a piece of paper. He starts reading from the paper. The paper said, today you were calling out for help to protect the city. I'm a woman who cannot fight. I don't have any wealth to give you either. I went searching for things to give you, but I couldn't find anything. And my heart was struck with sorrow. So the only thing I could do is I could give you a lock of my hair. And I want you to tie this on the rein, like everyone knows what a rein is, right? It's like what you put on your horse to steer it. I want you to put this on the rein of your horse so that it can be seen that I did try to contribute. I did try to contribute to this cause, right? And maybe that Allah, knowing this, will count it as I was helping in this cause. And then at the very end, it also says, and tomorrow you will be receiving a recruit. See if he is worthy. So Abu Qudama is now really confused. He's like, I didn't know what to make of it, but I went on. The next day, he gathered whatever recruits he had. And he started marching toward the border of the city, started marching toward the gates, where an attack was imminent because there had been rumors that there was an attack. And so he started gathering up everyone, making sure everyone's in line, providing provisions for everyone. And then they could see armies gathering from a distance, meaning that there is an attack coming. And suddenly, a voice calls out, Ya Ammi Abu Qudama, Ya Ammi Abu Qudama. In Arabic, the term Ammi is used for uncle, or a respected position. Just like in Desi, we always call everyone uncle. It's the same thing in Arabic. So, Ya Ammi Abu Qudama. And he sees a man on a horse riding toward him, right? And you could tell the guy was out of breath because he keeps yelling, Intadharni, wait for me. The man rides up to Abu Qudama. Abu Qudama immediately asks, can I help you? You you were yelling out to me in front of a whole crowd. Can I help you? And the man says, I'm not following my papers at all. The man says right away that, Alhamdulillah, it was written for me to meet you on this day. It was written for me to meet you on this day for us to unite. Abu Qudama was like, calm down, right? Take a deep breath. Who are you? And the man on the horse, he just keeps saying over and over again, it was written for me to be here with you. All my life I have made dua that I can join you at this moment, and it has finally happened, right? And then Abu Qudama is like, okay, what do you want? He's like, I want to help you in defending the city. My father took part in defending the city. I want to help in defending the city. And he says, let me see your face. Who are you? Right? So the man, he had his face covered when he was riding toward him, and when he was talking, he had his face covered. He lowers the cloth that was on his face, and he sees a young man. It's actually described, I'm not romanticizing this in any way, I'm just saying how the story was actually written down, in which it said that Abu Qudama was like, and I saw the face of a beautiful young man, a shabu jameel. He saw the face of a beautiful young man to the point where it looked like the full moon. She's like, that's how bright it was. And then immediately Abu Qudama goes, what experience do you have? What do you expect to give us? Right? You're way too young, go back. Right? You're way too young, go back. And then this boy, because he was maybe 17, maybe 16, this boy, he goes, but my mother, she came to you last night. He's like, well, what are you talking about? Who is your mother? It's like, I can see the lock of her hair. Right? It's like, that was your mother? And then Abu Qudama goes, that is your mother? Go back. Go back and take care of her, son. War isn't for you. This battle is not for you. We have people who can do this. This isn't for you. And then he keeps saying, no, Abu Qudama, no. My father, he fought defending the city. It's my duty as well. Please accept me. And then Abu Qudama kept saying no. But then he's like, I have a lot of experience. I'm an experienced horse rider. I've fought many battles before, right? And then Abu Qudama, he finally gives in. He's like, fine, you can stay with us, but your only job is going to be behind us and cooking food, right? And then the boy agrees. The boy agrees.
Mrs. Vickers, please call the main office. Mrs. Vickers, call the main office. Thank you.
The boy agrees. I know many of you are probably wondering, what does this have to do with Jannah? We're still not there yet. But let's keep going. So the enemy was gathering, and then defenders were gathering, right? So the time of lunch came, and a day had passed. And the next day, Abu Qudama is like, it's time for lunch. He sent someone to go to Abu Qudama. He sent someone to go to Abu Qudama, not to Abu Qudama, to the boy. Abu Qudama sent someone to go to the boy. And he tells him to go ahead and make lunch. Prepare lunch, everyone is hungry. An hour passes. 2 hours pass, and there's still no lunch. Abu Qudama is like, where is this kid? Where is this boy, right? How come there's no lunch prepared? And then he goes out and looks for him. And he finds the boy. He finds the boy right next to the boiling pot. The pot is boiling, and he's sleeping over there. And he says, SubhanAllah. The boy must be tired. He empathized with him because Abu Qudama, the whole day before and the whole morning, he was seen helping everyone. He was the most energetic, the most enthusiastic, the most agile of all of his men. He was going, what do you need? What do you need? Can I help you with this? Can I help you with this? He was doing every task there was, even for the other people. So he thought, let him rest. I'm not going to disturb this kid. I'm not going to disturb him. His name was Muhammad. That was the name of the boy. So I won't be messing up Abu Qudama and him anymore. So he lets Muhammad rest. And Abu Qudama starts preparing the meal. And while he's doing this, he's in close vicinity to Muhammad. And suddenly he hears a voice coming from Muhammad. So he looks at him. He looks at him, and Muhammad begins to smile. While he's sleeping, he begins to smile. And then Abu Qudama keeps going, and then his smile grows more and more. It's deeper and deeper, until he was smiling to the point where you could see his teeth. Like when a smile gets that great. And then he started laughing. He starts laughing really, really loudly, like his laughter intensifies. And then he wakes up. Immediately, he sees Abu Qudama looking at him, right? So his smile immediately vanishes, and he's now in a surprised state. And then he sees that Abu Qudama is the one who's preparing lunch. He's like, no, stop. It's not your job, this is my job. I'm supposed to be preparing lunch. And Abu Qudama says, no, sit down. Wallahi, I'm not going to let you do anything until you tell me why you were laughing. Muhammad's like, I was laughing? He's like, you were laughing so loud that I think the person in the next tent could hear. Right? And so Abu Qudama is like, you have to tell me what you were dreaming about, or what was going on, why were you laughing? And then Muhammad says, yeah, Ammi, please, I didn't realize you were here, right? I didn't realize you were here, and I dreamt about something, but I'm afraid if I tell you about it, that my reward will be diminished. That my intention won't be right anymore if I tell you about it. But since you're not letting me go, I'll let you know what's going on. And Abu Qudama really wanted to know what was going on. Why was this kid laughing? So Muhammad says, as long as you keep it a secret between us, I'll tell you what my dream was about. And so when Muhammad slept, he dreamt that that the day of judgment had come, right? And this doesn't sound like a very happy dream. He dreamt that the day of judgment came, and everyone was looking at the sky. شَخْصِهِمْ أَبْصَارُهُمْ. That's how it's described, that everyone is looking up, looking for their deeds, right? This is the day of judgment. And then suddenly a voice said, grab Muhammad, take him to paradise. And then a light came down. A light came down and grabbed Muhammad. And suddenly there was a very big statured man next to Muhammad, and he was taking him to Jannah. And Muhammad asked, who are you? He says, I'm one of your servants. Muhammad started smiling. And I'm taking you to your palaces, to your wealth, to your family in Jannah. And then Muhammad's smile grew more. And then they were going up, and he got to the gates of his paradise, of Muhammad's paradise. And then the man said, the man that was accompanying him, I can't go any further. I can't go any further because you have women inside, and I'm not allowed to see them. Muhammad's smile grew wider. He enters Jannah, comes out the door. He gets to Jannah. He gets to his garden, right? And then he sees women which he described that if their beauty was on earth, the whole earth would be lit. He describes that, and they go and hold his hands, and he starts smiling, and he's asked them, "Are you my wives?" They say, "No, we're just your servants. We're just the people around. Allah has given you a princess, and she's in that building over there. She's in that palace over there, reclining on silk sheets." Muhammad starts smiling even more. And then he goes into that palace. He goes into that building. And he sees this woman, and he describes it as, my soul almost jumped out of my body when I saw her. Right? And he asks, who are you? And of course she replies, I am the one that Allah promised for you. I am your wife in Jannah. I am the one who Allah gift wrapped for you. وَمَا تَدْرِي مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُمْ مِنْ قُرَّةٍ أَعْيُنٍ. No mu'min knows what Allah has gift wrapped for them. And this is even for the women. So he sees her, and he's just like, this is what Allah has promised me. He reached out to her, and immediately she grabs his hand and moves it back. Returns it back to him gently.